deadly reality.
13-year-old Christina Long, the pretty girl with a perpetual smile. In her short life, though, there was sadness. Her parents had a nasty divorce. Her mother abandoned her, and Chrissy moved in with her aunt. But she had a hard time finding friends. She was too different, sometimes even embarrassing to the other kids.
She would flash them and lift up her shirt in her bra and then let them touch it.
And then Chrissy got a computer, and it seems the friends she couldn't make, she was able to meet online.
She went to chat rooms. She was talking to guys that were older than her.
And on the other end of the internet were men with their own needs, like 24-year-old Saul Dos Reis, a newlywed whose wife was dying of cancer.
It was a very hard time for him, for his wife, for us, but he never talked about anything.
Saul, a Brazilian immigrant, worked 6 days a week at his father's restaurant. But online, he lived out his fantasy and became Hot ES 300, the guy with the Lexus. Chrissy was in Catholic school and on the honor roll, co-captain of her cheerleading squad. But her internet login was Sexy Me for You to See and Long Too Hot for You.
Christina would find older people. She would look for people.
Her friend worried when Chrissy began talking about sexual experimentation.
She told me that she wanted to get some handcuffs and some whips and stuff like that because it makes her in control.
In control of who?
Of whoever.
Chrissy began stepping out to meet men, police said. On Friday night, May 17th, she didn't come home, and police began contacting her online buddies until Saul emerged. Police said he acknowledged meeting her at the Danbury Fair Mall. According to authorities, after Saul Dos Reis had sex with Christina in his car and then killed her, he drove an hour from Danbury here to Greenwich and put her body here in this creek. Saul said, according to police, that he strangled Chrissy with his hands as they were engaged in sexual intercourse, suggesting that they might have been practicing erotic asphyxiation.
She didn't have statutory authority to consent to any type of sexual activity with an adult.
Even so, on Christina's computer, police found messages between her and Saul indicating they engaged in sex on a previous occasion and that pictures of a sexual nature may have been taken. The truth is, I'm a playa, she said in one email to Saul. I've had rough sex too, she tells Saul in another mail. I like it rough. I don't know how to say this, Saul tells her in an email, but would you be willing to, give me some lessons or kind of help me get good at it?
This case is not about a pedophile looking for a young child on the internet to abuse. This is about two people who intentionally misrepresented who they were. And as most people do on the internet, each believing they were meeting someone else. You can look at the nature of the charges in both the state and the federal case and ask yourself the question, if that's what this is about, why are the charges what they are?
Saul was charged with manslaughter rather than the greater charge of murder. He also faces federal charges of using the internet to lure children for sex. And police say the focus on the victim's actions is wrong-headed.
It's not unusual in this type of a case or in many other cases to put the victim on trial.
Christina's family says whatever role she played, it was Saul who was supposed to be the responsible adult.
She's thinking like a child, and she's not reasoning like an adult because she's not an adult. He's the one who should have been, he is the adult, and he should have behaved like the adult.
And whether this child wanted to appear older or more experienced, she was only 13, an angel to the aunt raising her, perhaps an angel adrift, and now gone. Maria Hinojosa, CNN, Danbury, Connecticut.
Joining me now are the attorneys for Saul Dos Reis, Peter Tilem and James Lenahan. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us.
Thank you.
What was he doing on the internet when he first met Christina?
Saul was a man who didn't have a lot of time to himself, but the one love he had was cars. And he frequented the internet in order to look at cars, buy pieces, parts for his car. That was one of his, probably his only joy.
Jim, when in fact he did finally meet with her, he did have sex with her, did he know that she was 13?
We don't believe that he did. We believe that Christina was very, very careful in portraying the image of a young woman who was of the age and ability to consent to endeavors with men. And that doesn't just come from our own beliefs. It's based upon documentation that we've actually received from the government.
Well, according to police, they discovered an email in which she says that she was 14.
That's what they would like you to believe. However, that's not really what the content of the email was. If that is the email that they are relying on to prosecute him as knowing whether or not she was of age to consent, then we believe their reliance is misplaced.
Peter, what does your client admit to? Does he admit that, in fact, what he did caused her death?
Well, I can't talk about what our client has told us.
But I mean, in terms of your case, what does your client admit to?
The evidence is that Saul was someone who was looking for an adult relationship online. He thought he found it in Christine. Christine was very good at pulling off that ruse. And we know that this is something she did often. Our client admits that, you know, he believed that he was getting involved in an adult relationship with an adult.
But that doesn't excuse what happened to her.
It doesn't excuse what happened to her, but the truth of the matter is that it's our belief that Saul was not engaged in any illegal activity. Rather, this was two people who were engaged in what they believed to be...
Well, what you're addressing is the relationship. You're not dealing with the issue of the fact that she's dead.
Well, the fact that she's dead...
And he is charged with manslaughter.
He's charged with manslaughter, which we believe is indicative of the fact that the government, at the very best, knows that this may have been an accident.
Connie, we don't have the evidence at this point. The government does. We have some, and we've gotten drips and drabs, but the people who had the evidence decided that this wasn't murder. And we don't know why that is.
All right. Gentlemen, I need to go, and I thank you so much for being with us. When we come back, we'll talk to a cop who tries to catch internet predators by going online undercover. But first tonight, off the radar, one of the most notorious early cases of an internet liaison that turned out to be something far different than it first seemed.
The case of Oliver Jovanovich showed that while any romantic